Hey y'all, I'm Leah.
And I'm Jasmine.
And welcome to the Caught Up Podcast. So,
go ahead.
Today we're going to be talking about fake friends, growing out of friends,
friendship breakups.
Oh, how to maintain friendships,
friends who aren't friends, all of that.
Yeah. So we've been friends for more than a decade, as you all already know. And when we first started off as friends, we weren't really, the first 2 years of our friendship,
we weren't close.
Yeah, we
weren't even really friends.
No, she knew all of my business because I would, you always pick that random person. Like, let's say you go into school every day or you go into work every day. You pick that random person that you go to school or work every day and you just tell them basically all of your business. And it don't be nothing serious, but you just be venting. You ain't got nothing else. Oversharing.
It's always nice to kind of talk to somebody who doesn't know you, but yeah.
And that's what I did. Every day I just tell her my business or tell her stuff that just doesn't matter. And and then eventually I was like, well, we're best friends now.
And that's quite literally how it happened. She would talk and I would listen. And she decided she was my best friend. And I said, oh, okay. And here we are 30 years later.
Yep. I have a lot of friends. I really don't think people like me naturally. But for some reason I have a lot of friends. So I have friends in Houston from college, and then I have friends in Dallas. And I had this one friend in Houston. We're gonna call her Elizabeth. Because we're not doing names, so we're gonna do nicknames now. We're gonna call her Elizabeth. And we were actually really close. We went to middle school together, so we knew each other already before we got to college. And then my freshman year, we became the best of friends. And during that time of college and stuff, it was cool. We would go to parties together, stuff like that. But I started noticing that when I needed her the most, it was a very self-centered friendship. For example, we went to the PV Grambling game in Dallas for the game or whatever. And she had brought 4 friends with her, but mind you, I was the only one with the car. So I drove us all the way to Dallas. She rode in the car with my ex-boyfriend at the time. Well, my boyfriend at the time, but my ex-boyfriend. Mm-hmm. She rode in the car with him because my car was full of her friends. I was dumb. I used to, I didn't know that friends could stab you in the back at the time. But no, everything was cool. But then on our way back, my tire blew out. And mind you, she was in the car with my ex, and they were having a good time. They was high. My tire blew out. I'm the only one that knew how to change a tire out of, 10 people. 10 people. It was 4 guys, her, and the other car with my ex-boyfriend. And it was me and 4 of her friends. Not my friends, her friends in my car. So it was 10 people total. I was dumb. My tire blew out and I had to change my tire. And when it blew out and everybody stopped and got out the car and looked at it or whatever, they was like, oh my gosh. Even one of her friends was like, hey, do you need me to call AAA? Do you need anything? Are you okay? Checking on me. First thing that comes out of her mouth is, I have homework to do. And I'm just mind you, this is 2017. This is the year of the clowns. The clowns jumping out the
woods and stuff.
Yeah, and scaring people and
that
stuff
was big in Texas. I don't know about the rest of the world, but apparently Texas had it real bad with them clowns.
Exactly. And so I was scared. It was dark. It was nighttime. Nobody knew how to change a tire except for me. So I'm on the ground changing the tire. She complaining about how she had homework. Anyways, that situation happens. And I was like, you know what? I'm surrounded by a bunch of people that don't care about me. And I need to do something different. So I was like, first of all, that's her friend, so whatever. I'm I need to cut her off. So I tell her, I have a conversation with her about, me and you shouldn't be friends because we have a different definition of what a friendship should be. And I feel like in that moment, that was like your shining moment to actually be a friend to me, and you chose not to be. You chose to be self-centered instead. So I basically told her, like, let's not be friends anymore. That was like the first friendship breakup I ever had. Like, that's how I broke up with that friend. Fast forward to like our junior year, sophomore year, my ex, which I was dumb enough to get back with, like, we broke up a couple times, but whatever. I was dumb enough to get back with him, and then he wanted me to get back friends with her. And so I'm like, okay, because I guess they had a class together, so he was like, yeah, she misses you. Why you don't talk to Elizabeth anymore? Da 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 da. Okay, cool. So we get back friends again. And we go to this party. Fast forward, it's about a couple of months until the friendship. We go to this party, and she loses her phone. And she's like, oh, like, I lost my phone. So I stopped everything I'm doing. Mind you, I'm belligerent. Like, this is like I think it was a spring fest party or some homecoming party, something like that.
It was just a big party.
It was a big party. Yeah. Like, a whole bunch of people. I'm belligerent at this point, but I sober myself up and I'm looking for her phone. Like, I'm asking around, like, you know. And by the end of the night, she ends up going off on me, saying basically, oh, you're not my real friend, because if you were my real friend, you would have found my phone. And if you would have lost your phone, then I would have found it. I didn't have to stop what I was doing. I could have just kept having fun. But I didn't, because that's the type of friend I am. So she goes off on me in front of all her little friends. And I'm like, you know what? That's cool. So I'm distancing myself. Then she ends up getting into this, like we was cool, but we wasn't like the best of friends anymore.
It was different.
And so she ends up getting into this relationship with some guy. Well, they weren't in a relationship at the time, but she ends up getting into this relationship, and every 3 days, every week, she's coming to me crying about, like, oh my gosh, he's just this, he does that, I found this in his phone, he's cheating, he's doing this. And they weren't in a relationship, but like, she's just telling me about how this guy's doing her wrong, and he's like leading her on and all this other stuff. And so me being a friend, I'm giving her advice, and then this guy starts being rude to me out of nowhere. Like, I really think she was like a fake friend, because he started just being rude to me, like, as if like, and he would know things or hint at things that he wasn't supposed to know, as if she was talking bad about me to him, then talking bad about him to me.
Right.
And so I, like, you know, was still defending my friend, because I'm dumb. I was just defending my friend or whatever and helping her through her issues or whatever. Then one day he ends up going off on me, calling me cake face and just all types of names, just completely rude.
She wasn't like defending you at all.
No, she was sitting there and was just staring,
letting it happen.
And then I like was like, bro, you need to shut up, like, just be quiet, basically. And then eventually it just got to a point where I started going off on him. I was like, you wear the same sweatshirt every day. Like, stop talking to me. Like, stop being rude. Who do you think you're talking to? You're messing with the wrong one. Like, you know, going off. And then she gets up, goes to the bathroom, and then he continues coming back. We going back and forth while she in the bathroom. She comes back, and he gets up. He says, yeah, I'm finna leave. I'm finna go. He leaves. She comes back and comes to me, and she's like, Leah, why would you do that? Like, if you can't accept me and him being together, then me and you can't be friends.
Okay.
I was
like, okay.
I really didn't say anything at that point, because, like, I had broken up with her before. Like, I say break up, but, like, I had broken up with her before. But I was just like, you know what? Okay, you'll realize it over time. If that's important to you, then that's fine. And I just kind of ghosted her.
Yeah.
And, like, that's how I've, like, even from that situation, from now, I break up with people, but I don't break up with friends anymore. I just kind of ghost. I just kind of, like, move along. I kind of, like, put my energy somewhere else. But that's how I cope with friendship breakups, because I've done the whole talking things out and stuff before, but it doesn't work, I guess. So, I mean,
I feel like I've never had to break up with a friend. That's mostly because my friends don't let me break up with them. But we'll talk about that later. I mean, but like even outside of her, like a lot of my friends, whenever we have problems, even when I'm ready to like walk away and call things quit, they aren't. They don't let that happen. So I've never actually had to like break up, I guess, with a friend. Now, growing apart and like growing out of a friendship, I've done that. And like I've done it in a really good friendship, or like a friendship that I thought was really solid too. And I'm not saying that to make it seem like it wasn't a solid friendship. We genuinely just grew apart. Life just took us down different paths. This one friend in particular, I met in 6th grade. I actually met her the same time I met Leah, and we what is that?
Somebody's phone.
Is that her computer? Friends who aren't friends.
Okay. Yeah. Then love languages. All right. We're good.
But like I was saying, so yeah, we met when I had met Leah. We all had met each other at the same time. We were all in the same like homeroom class. And she and I just got really close. We both went to a school in a district where we didn't live. And we lived relatively close to each other. So we were like spending a lot of time together in and out of school. And I got really close with her family. And her sister. And her grandmother. And her mom. And her dad. Like I was really close with them. Like they were my family. And my mom talks about them even to this day. How good, you know, of a friend she was to me, and how good their family was to our family as a whole. And we didn't have any problems. We didn't have a falling out. It wasn't like a big argument where we stopped being friends. She just went to a different school, went to school away from home after we graduated, and we just kind of grew apart. And even now when we try to like rekindle that friendship, it doesn't go, because we're two completely different people, you know, than when we were friends. We're just different now, you know. So sometimes that happens, and I think people grow out of these friendships and they have like really negative connotations with that, like they think it's a bad thing, but that's normal. Sometimes you just grow apart. Like life takes you in one direction and takes them in another, and that's what happened. I love that girl to this day. I love her. If she needs anything, I got her. But we cannot call each other best friends. We still say that we're friends, but like, you know?
Yeah.
So sometimes it just happens. And I think we need to normalize. I hate when Twitter says that now, but like we need to normalize that. We need to be okay with growing apart from people. We need to let people have their room to grow, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think you have this problem. Almost none of my friends are friends with each other. I don't think you have that problem.
No, most of my friends are like separated. Like my friends in Dallas get along. My friends in Houston get along. Like there isn't much like it may not be the same vibe. Like you've hung out with my friends in Houston, and like maybe like they're not comfortable around each other, but they don't argue. Like they don't get into it. Like they're cool. Like, you know. So I was gonna say, I love Leah's Houston friends. Like they're all really close and really comfortable with each other. I'm not there. Like You're not there with them.
Yeah, I'm not there with them like they are, but I do like them. I don't think Leah gives me enough credit. You know, like I feel like Leah thinks like
it takes you a while to warm up to people.
But that's just in general. So if the Houston friends are watching, shout out to y'all. You know, I like y'all. That homecoming we spent together, one of the best weekends of my life. You know, I like y'all. But my friends do not mesh. Do y'all have like friends who don't get along with your other friends? Like, I don't think this is a problem Leah has. This is a problem that I have. And it's strange.
But I think it's because like most of your friends are friends from high school.
Yes.
And like there's a mess in high school
that has followed us into adulthood. And don't get me wrong, I don't want people to think that my friends are just these group of messy,
They're really not.
Because they're not.
Like, your friends are my friends, but since you've been in Dallas, like, the past 5 years, you, like, you're closer to them. She's closer to them than I am. I'm not as close to my high school friends than, like, I used to be. And
I don't think any of them are as close as any of us have, used to be. I just somehow have become, like, the liaison for our friend group.
The middle.
Yeah, I'm just the middleman. I'm just the middleman. Everybody kept a close connection to me, but didn't have that with themselves. Like Thomas.
We have nicknames now.
We're going to use this nickname system. So, Thomas doesn't like being around James because... You're following?
Mm-hmm.
So, Thomas feels like James can't keep his hands to himself. Feels like James is always trying to insert himself in situations that doesn't involve him. James feels like Thomas is delusional and these things aren't happening. And they both involve me. Like, you saw that, right? Like, you saw that. And the other one was like, you were there. Did you see anything? And I just have to be like... And then Marcus gets around James. And James is like, can you tell Marcus to leave me alone? And then Marcus is like, I want to be your friend, but you're friends with James. And it makes me think, are you really my friend if you can be friends with James?
Because Marcus doesn't like James, or Marcus does like James?
I don't know. But because Marcus is very secretive about their feelings towards James. Okay. Marcus will never tell me what it is that's going on with Marcus and James. James feels like there is nothing. Feels like there's nothing to talk about. But when Marcus creates the problem, James is like, you need to end the problem. And I'm like, why? What do I have to do with that? That's a James and Marcus situation. Where does Jasmine come in? And they both trying to put me in the middle. And then Lips feels like James just hates them and wants me to hate everybody in the room.
My favorite words, to my defense. I do not feel that way. Lips does not feel like James, like, doesn't want anyone to like anyone. Lips just feels like James inserts himself in situations that don't involve him. For example, me and you get into it a lot.
Okay,
like,
we do.
Every day. About the smallest of things. Like, we're a married couple.
Real life.
Like, so... Like, when we're having these spats, when we're going at each other or whatever, or let's say we don't resolve a situation and we're coming back to it later. Maybe, I don't know what your nickname, Braids, feels like. Maybe Braids be feeling some type of way sometimes. But this is Jasmine. Jasmine is this type of person. She's always monotone. She's always, like, chill. Like, she's, like, very straight. This is Leah. I'm very exaggerated. Like, you know when something's going on with me. I'm going to tell you. I'm going to be emotional. I'm an emotional person. But Jasmine is this. So when Jasmine has these moments where she does like this, I try to, like, talk her through it, fix it out. I'm the kumbaya friend. Come on, like, let's talk about it. Like, let's get through it. Da, 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 da. Like, that's me. And Jasmine is like, I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to talk about it. But eventually she'll come out and talk about it. But the point of what I'm trying to say is that when we're having those times where I'm trying to talk about whatever it is she's going through, or if I'm going through something, honestly, I'm going to talk about it. But if Jasmine's going through something, she don't want to talk about it. She don't want to deal with it. She just want to act like it never happened. And sometimes it turns into reoccurring situations. It turns into reoccurring issues. And so I try to talk about things, and then we get into it and we bump heads because we don't agree. And when we do that, sometimes you leave with a sour taste in your mouth when I'm trying to, like, fix things or I'm trying to talk through things. and then maybe you go and talk to, what's his name, James. Maybe you go and talk to James, and then I hear things like, oh, well, why don't y'all just stop being friends? Why don't y'all just stop talking? First of all, like we said earlier, me and you is not gonna stop being friends. Like, she's stuck in this for life. And I'm not saying that
I'm held hostage. And we're gonna get into it, but go ahead.
I'm not saying that I'm holding her hostage, but what I'm saying is that I love her. She has a habit of quitting. She likes to quit on friendships. Like, it is very easy for you to just be like, okay, well, if you don't like the color purple, then leave me alone. And she'll just be like, leave me alone. And she'll just like not want to talk about it, not know.
This is an exaggeration, but
it
okay.
is, but like, it's an exaggeration. But what I'm trying to say is that she has a habit of not wanting to work things out and not want to talk about things. And I know she has it in her to fix these things. And I value our friendship, so I'm always trying to like talk.
And you just
things.
feel like James doesn't have a place to tell me how I should feel about looks.
No, because like you said, with James and Marcus and James and
Thomas,
that don't involve
offensive for me too. So like,
and honestly, I say that that's something that I've had to grow to learn that.
Yes,
like I've had to grow to learn, like, I'm not in no way jealous of you and James' friendship. And I really don't believe in my heart that James is jealous of me and your friendship. But I do think that me and him hold kind of the similar place in your life. And so it kind of butt heads sometimes, because you'll vent, and you do vent, and you'll be emotional about stuff. And so, like I said, she's this. When she has those little things, I pay attention to those, because I know that if she's doing this, something is bothering her. Even though it's not like me, even though it's not huge, something is bothering her. So like, we both hold this same place where, like, when you're venting or you're like going through something, like, I'm pretty sure it bothers him when something.
Y'all take things differently. Like I was saying earlier, when something upsets me, I want to work through it myself. Give me my 5 minutes and it's done. James gives me that time. James is the only friend I have who will let me have my 5 minutes, my 10 minutes, my day, my week. And then, like you and my little sister was saying, once it's over, we don't acknowledge it no more. And we go right past it. And James just feels like, if I can give you that, why can't anybody else? That feels selfish to me, that they want to put you out of your comfort zone and make you work through something that makes you uncomfortable. If I can do it, we all can do it. If we all sitting here say we love you, we care about you, and you're visibly uncomfortable, why are they pushing you? Why are they still making you more uncomfortable? Y'all just have two different ways of comforting me. And y'all just don't see eye to eye to that. But y'all do both respect each other's place in my life. So I'll give y'all that. Africa, Marcus, and Thomas, y'all need to get it together, because it's exhausting. Okay? Do what they do, and let's keep going. Okay?
Okay. I mean, but that goes into another topic that we wanted to talk about, which is love languages. Within friendships.
Yes.
Because different friends want to be loved differently. Like, for example, when you were just saying just now about, like, you know, James understands to give you your space. And I understand that you need space. Your sister understands that you need space. Like, we've talked about this. But me and Jasmine bump heads, because when I feel like there's a rift in any relationship that I'm in, I want to fix it. Like, that is me. That is my love language. Like, I want to talk things out. I want to kumbaya. I want to cry about it and feel better. Like, I want to do that. And so that's why me and her sometimes bump heads. Sometimes I take a step back and I'm like, you know what? Leave her alone. Like, I will tell people, even in high school, like, you used to get mad, we used to get into it, and then they'd be like, Leah, why you left her alone? Why you stopped talking to her? Leave her alone. Don't say nothing. Just let her be, and you'll get over it, and we'll be right back good the next day. But that's something I've had to learn about you. But, you know, with like my other friends, it may be different. For example, I forgot. No, not right. Adorable. She's my other best friend in Houston. Like, her love language, she's very, a lot like Jasmine. She's this. Like, you're not really gonna ever know. But like, I know with her, like, we just don't talk about things. We have an unspoken understanding of situations, and we also like never really put ourselves in any situation that would be like we don't put ourselves in situations that would cause issues, like, and we're also we communicate. That's one thing about us, is that before anything happens, like, for example, well, I'll say as an just example, let's say she talked to a guy at one point, and this guy finds interest in me, and I'll be like, oh yeah, like, you still talk to them, because they're trying to talk to me, like, we see each other. And she'll be like, oh well, yeah, I used to, but nah girl, you probably don't want it anyway, because such and such and such and such. And I'll be like, all right, well, I mean, they seem cool, I'll give them a chance. I just wanted to talk to you about it, see how you felt about it, see if there was anything going on. Like, we communicate. Our best thing is like communicating with each other before things happen, so that they don't get to that point. If me and her ever, like, well, I could say one time that like I got into a mood, like, she just left me alone, and we had an unspoken thing. I wouldn't want any of my other friends to leave me alone. Like, if I'm having a moment, or we're having a moment, I wouldn't want my friends to do that. But with her, I don't know, it's just different. Like, different friends do different things and do different things. Like, the dynamic with me and her is different. So like, she just left me alone and never spoke about it again. But like, we communicate before things happen anyway. So like, but you is different love languages. Like, you don't like to be touched.
I hate it.
Like, she don't like hugs. I'll hug Adorable and like, oh my god, like, you know, I'm a mushy gushy person with my friends, so I'll hug Adorable. But you know, Jasmine,
I'll give Leah I can say Leah, right?
Yeah,
I'll give Leah hugs if she need a hug, or
if I need a hug.
No,
I have to ask
for
it. I have to ask for it though.
Okay, but I hug the bitch, is what I'm saying. That's my point. Like, I'm not.
But she don't like hugs.
Anyway, going on with your story.
No, that's it. You, on the other hand, like, you know, like, your friends' love languages. I don't know. Do you? Like, I think it's important to know.
I feel like for me, I'm the one who needs to do more changing and more adjusting, because I'm very stubborn and I'm very set in my ways. And
what's your moon sign?
My moon sign, Leo. I'm a Virgo sun, Leo moon, Aquarius rising. Read me for filth.
So you're cold. Very, very cold. Go ahead.
And I just feel like the problems people have with me are not real problems. That's a you problem and not a me problem. That's how I feel about all the issues that everybody has with me. But I can be mature and say, okay, well then maybe let's fix it. I'm trying to think of an example.
You can't think of no examples with me? We got plenty of examples.
Okay, let's see. Like we really do argue about really small things. Let's say we're going to a store to buy something. What do we need something for?
Alcohol.
Okay, alcohol. Because we are alcoholics. And I like pineapple mango vodka. Leah likes pink lemonade. So we're in the store, and I'll pick up the pineapple mango. I don't like that. I like pink lemonade. So I'll just put it back and grab pink lemonade. Jasmine, do you want the pineapple mango? It's okay. Like, we can just get the pink lemonade. No, it's not okay. You want pineapple mango. Tell me that you're okay with the pink lemonade. Or do you just want to get something else that we both like? Girl, it's not that big of a deal. Like, just get the pink lemonade and let's go. No, it is a a big deal, Jasmine. What do you want? And I'm just like, but do y'all hear my like, is this something that I really need to work on? Because I feel like I was being a bigger person. Like, okay, she likes that. Let me get that. Why does it happen?
I feel like I would, in that situation, and that's a very realistic situation. What my thought process is, I'm trying to understand, like, okay, is she just getting this because I want it? Am I going to feel, is she going to feel some type of way later because you don't speak about your feelings? And is she going to feel some type of way and do this little thing later?
You're over too much thought in a small thing.
But I'm trying to make sure you're okay with it, because you have a habit sometimes of not speaking your real feelings. And you'll just give up and go with whatever it is, even though you're not happy. And so I'm trying to make sure that later on, this doesn't snowball into a bigger thing. So I'm trying to end it now. I'm trying to talk about it now. Let's kumbaya now and agree on something together. Don't just say, oh yeah, I want pineapple mango just because. Like, do you actually want pineapple mango, or are you okay with pink lemonade, or are you just doing that because you want me to shut up? Because if you just want me to shut up and you start drinking this and you don't like it later and you drunk, you're gonna feel some type of way about it, and it's gonna turn into an even bigger issue.
And that is also a realistic situation. I don't know, but I guess that's an area where I can grow and I could talk more about my feelings.
She don't like talking about her feelings.
Because, y'all, another conversation for another day. We already had that conversation. I feel like, whatever. Another conversation for another day. But, we argue a lot. And in us arguing, these small things don't really cause problems for us.
No, they don't.
But there has been a situation where we did have a big problem. And we weren't friends for a little while.
Yeah, for like...
It
was like 2 months.
It was a while.
It was like 2 months.
I feel like it was like...
It was the longest we've
2
ever...
or 3 months.
Yeah, it was the longest we've ever not been friends. Like... And during that time, like, we just didn't talk. Like, it was amicable.
We talked about... I can only think of one time where I sent you a text. And while we weren't talking, it was because I shaved all my hair off, and I was just like, I know that even if we aren't friends, if you would have moved from home or came home for the weekend and saw me without hair, you would have felt some type of way, and it would have made the situation worse. So I had to be like, this is a big life moment. Let me involve them, even though I'm sure she needs her space.
I didn't need my space. I just felt like I don't need space. When me and anyone are going through it, I don't really need space unless it's a relationship. A relationship is totally different from my friendships. But friendship wise, I don't need space. I need to talk about it. We stopped talking because, me and you stopped talking because I felt like, once again, you were quitting. That's what made me mad during that last conversation.
But I did not. You were the person who said, you know what, maybe we shouldn't be friends. And I said, if that's how you feel, that's how I feel. Doop, doop, doop. You hung up and you were done. And I was like, oh, you gonna eat them words. If we not friends, we not friends. And that's just what it's gonna be.
Okay. All I remember is, during that conversation, you kept saying things like, this is how I've been feeling our whole friendship. I feel like, basically you were calling me like, I don't know what, I don't even understand like what specifically you were trying to like get at, but to me it felt like you were trying to say that I was a bad friend. And my whole point was, if you feel like I'm a bad friend and you're saying all of these things, then maybe we shouldn't be friends. Because you kept saying that for our whole friendship, I was a bad friend. That's basically what you said. And so I was just kind of like shocked, but also like, okay, let me step outside of myself. If you were venting to me the way that you were talking about me, if you were talking about somebody else, I would tell you, you don't need to be friends with them. And that's exactly what I said on the phone. I said, if you were talking about somebody else this way, I say you don't need to be friends with them. And if that's how you really feel about me, you really feel like I'm not your friend, I'm not a good friend, then you need to stop being friends with me. And she was like, well, I'm not gonna fight for this. And I'm like, all right. And I left it at that. And then I texted you, happy Thanksgiving, and you sent me a picture of your hair. And then Marcus got us back to being friends again or whatever. But like that's what that was about. I didn't need space. I just needed you to realize that like what you were saying was like hurtful things, in my opinion, to me, because like you were basically telling me that I was a bad friend, and I just did not feel that way. And as a good friend, I told you to stop being my friend. A lot of times when we get into arguments, she gives up, and that's like my issue. And that's what our issue was during that. But that's what my issue was during that situation, was that you give up. And at that point, I was just like, you know what? She gives up. I can't hold this together by myself, so I'm just gonna give up. Like,
what I will say is that I think I had this moment, because it was a moment for me. Like, I was just like in a very overwhelmed place, stressed place, and a lot of things for me were just building up, and I just had a moment. But I had that moment while Leah was having a moment, while she was going through stress, and it was midterm. It was finals for both of us, because it was at the end of the fall semester, so it was finals for the both of us.
I was studying like till like 2 o'clock that morning, and then I called you at like 2 o'clock that morning when I finally got done studying.
And so it started where I sent her a text, and it was a very like, I'm trying to get something out of you text. And see, this goes back to James, because I sent the same thing to him, and where he did to me like he would do with my friends, or when I'm venting with my friends, he was like, you don't like these things, so change it. And I was like, okay, but I can't change it. Okay, so then shut up. And he went to sleep, and he left me alone. Leah was like, yeah, this. And I was like, okay, well, that's a problem for me. Okay, well, how is that a problem for you if you think the same things? Because you're my friend, you shouldn't think these things.
Wait,
right?
Wait, what? Because what I wanted to talk about it. Like I said, like that's the difference between me and James.
No. That was the beginning of it. So that happened in like, because I drove myself to school. I had 8 a.m. and I was in the parking lot, and I sent them both the same text. And that's what we said at 8 in the morning, 8 or 9 in the morning. Went about the rest of my day. Like she was saying, she stayed up until 2 studying. I can't study at home, so I was at school until about 2. And I had just made it home, took my shower, and was getting ready to go to sleep. And she called me. And I was like, oh, now I gotta deal with this. Like, I'm just now getting home. Like, if she wanted to talk about this, we could have did this earlier. Like, I sent you this text. When I sent it, we should have talked about it then. Now you want to talk about it now, and I'm ready to go to bed. I don't want to talk about it. You know?
You didn't want to talk about it at all, to be honest.
Probably wouldn't have, but I would have been more willing to say it. And when she called me, it was just on my heart to be like, don't let this go. Argue with her. Like, just argue with her. Like, tell her how you feel. Like, don't back down. Because oftentimes I would talk to Leah about the things that I put in the text, and it just would be like, you're making that up. That's not serious, or it's not real, or it didn't happen. And if it did, my bad, but I don't think it happened. Whatever, let it go. And I'd be like, all right, whatever. Because I really do not like being called crazy. I just don't. Or feeling like I am crazy. I don't like when I say something happened and people I know that didn't happen. That's called being gaslit, and I don't like that. Like that, and I know Leah doesn't like it either. Nobody, I'm sure, likes that feeling. But like, that is one of my biggest pet peeves. And so that day, because I was working on it with one of my exes, where I felt like they were always doing that to me. Where like they would start a problem, and then I try to be like, I didn't like when you did that. It didn't happen. Like, you're making that up. That literally did not happen. So I was like, I'm not gonna let Leah do it to me either. So we were on the phone, and I was saying what I had. She said everything she had to say, and I remember being over here just like it's the same shit. Like she's not changing. Like, she's saying everything that she always say. I'm not finna do this. And then I was like, okay, bro, like, that's how you feel. I really don't care. And she was like, no, you're shutting down. I hate when you do that. Like, she got so, like, she has a very cheery voice, and her voice got so deep. Like, she's mad. And I was over here like, ew, she's angry. Like, but she was like, I hate when you do that. You're shutting down.
I hate when she shuts down.
This is a big thing, Jasmine. We need to talk. And I was like, I'm not gonna talk to you. I don't want to talk to you. I said what I need to say. I said what I need to say. You can do what you need to do with that situation or with that information, and we can go from there. But I'm not about to have this conversation with you because I've already said what I need to say. And then that's when she was like, well, it just sounds to me like we don't need to be friends. Okay, well, if that's how you feel, well, that's how I feel. And she hung up. I was like, I know she thinks that I'm going to sleep this off and we can talk about it. Or I'm going to take a week or something and we can talk about it. But something that I've never said, like, because we always have these arguments, like we've been saying. Something I've never said to her or anybody else is, I don't want to be your friend. So when you say that to me, you must really not want to be my friend.
That's not what I said.
You did.
That's not what I said.
What did you say?
I said, if you were saying this to someone else and you were venting to me about this other person, if I wasn't who you're, if I was whatever,
and I get that.
I would tell you, you don't need to be friends with me. If this is how you really feel about me, then you don't need to be friends with me.
And you said that.
Yes.
And I said what I said.
You said
you can work through those things, and if you don't want to, then it's whatever.
No, that's not what you said.
What I say?
You said, okay, well then we don't have to be friends. That's simply what you said.
No, I did not. You said that first.
No, I said, if you were talking about someone else the way that you're talking about me, I would consider them a bad friend. If this is how you really feel about me, then we shouldn't be friends. And you said, okay, then we don't need to be friends. I'm not gonna force or fight. I'm not gonna fight for this relationship, or I'm not gonna fight for this friendship. That's what you said to me. And I said,
I did not.
Yes, you did. You said, I'm not gonna fight for this relationship. That's what you said.
Okay.
And that's the last thing you said. And I said, okay. And then I hung up. And that was it. And we didn't talk for like 3 months.
Okay. Anyway, we see this is a thing that friends do. And we had a really big falling out. And the reason we started back talking, well, really, I don't know who brought it up first between me or Marcus, but another mutual friend of ours was like, y'all really need to work that out. And I was like, well, I said what I need to say, and if she wants to talk to me, she will. And he was just like, I think that's really childish. And he was like, and don't worry, like, I'm talking to her about it too, but like, I think that's childish. If you need to say something to her, you need to say something to her. And if she need to say something to you, she should say it to you. And I was like, well, I'm not going to say anything. And he was telling me that that was childish. And I was like, okay, then I'm going to be that, because I'm not going to say anything. But I ended up reaching out first. But I'm going to tell y'all the truth. I had no intentions of being Leah's friend anymore when I sent her this text. I don't even think you know that. I really did not. I was not trying to rekindle a friendship.
You did say that. You said that at the end of the message. You said at the end of the message, I am not trying to rekindle this friendship. And
because I really felt like we had grown out. Like we had reached our point and we just had grown apart. And clearly, y'all know how I feel about growing apart from each other. And I really thought that's just where we were. We weren't, clearly. Because really, if I didn't want to be Leah's friend, we wouldn't be friends right now. But I love Leah, you know? So, it just is what it is.
And that's what it is for me, too. Like, she reached out, and in that, I knew. Because if she didn't want, deep down inside, okay, I know Jasmine. I know her. Deep down inside, if she didn't want to be my friend, she would have never spoken to me again. You knew deep down inside you wanted to be my friend because you sent me that picture.
I wanted us to be on good terms. I did not, because I felt like we owed it to each other to not end on a bad place. Because what it was, I have a friend, and this is another thing about growing apart. When we were in high school, there was a time where Leah was really just like all up under her ex, and we didn't spend a lot of time together. We just didn't. And then even with James, like James had all the sports that they were in, plus the things with their family and the things that they were going through, and I wasn't spending a lot of time with him either. And I don't think either one of them recognized this, but my best friend at the time was this other boy who I was in photography with. And me and him, when I think back to high school, I can't think of one really good memory I had in high school that is not centered around him. and we were really close. And I was not sober, and I wrote him. I don't know why. I think I saw a tweet, and it reminded me of him. And so I looked up his name on Twitter, and I was just looking at all the pictures and all the texts and screenshots and stuff that I had posted on Twitter. And I was like, I want to write him a note, because I just wasn't sober. And I was like, yeah, he needs to know these things and how I feel. And I wrote him a note. And I was like, man, I should do this for Leah. I should do this for I mean, fuck. And so I wrote this note. And I was like, man, I should do this for Leah. I should do this for Marcus. I should do this for Africa. Like, I did. I wrote one to literally all of my friends. And I sent Marcus his note. And he was like, wow, like, I didn't know you felt this way, whatever. And me and Marcus had a conversation about us. And he was like, well, did you write one for Leah? And I was like, I actually did. And I sent it to him. And he was like, yeah, you need to send this to her. And I was like, I don't think I should. Like, I really don't think it's my place to do that, because I know that I caused the wedge between us. And I don't think I have the right to try to, like, force anything. And he was like, I don't think that you're trying to force anything. I think you're just telling her how you feel. And so then that's when I went and added the part at the end, like, I'm not trying, because I really was not ready to be your friend again. And I told that to my mom, and I told that to James. I will say, like, when we started back being friends, I was just like, I'm not ready to be her friend. I'm really not. But she didn't give me that. She wanted to be my friend. And because, like, me and Leah, when we first started, we texted each other every day. We called each other every day. I sent her that note, and the next day, hi Jasmine. And we were on the phone, I promise you, for 4 hours. Because I showed my mom, and I was like, I was not ready for this. I was not ready for this. We were on the phone for 3 hours or 4 hours. But it was a long time. And I was like, Jesus. And we just picked it right back up, and this is just where we've been ever since that day.
But we did end up talking about it. We did end up spending at least like
2 days.
Weeks. No, it was like, okay, so
starting off at Africa's house.
Yes. It was I would say it took us like a week's worth of time to talk about things. Like, it took multiple different times of us seeing each other, trying to pick out and get through what we had went through. And like, at first it was, yeah, like, she said she didn't want to rekindle a friendship, but
it's not so much that I didn't want to, I just was not ready.
She wasn't ready. And I know that about her. Like, I know that it took a lot for her to send that message, and deep down inside I know that the only reason she sent me that message is because she still loved me regardless, like, at the end of the day. And so, you know, we know each other's family. Like, we've been close. Like, we're sisters fall out. Like, it happens. I've never personally had a sister. She has 15 sisters, but I've never personally had a sister, so I don't know what that's like. And so it was very important for me to rekindle this friendship and fix this friendship, but I knew it would take time. So at first it was just us catching up. It was very surface level. We both knew that there was things that needed to be talked about, and it took us a week to work through those issues and talk about them. But at the end of the day, I can say that, you know, deep down inside, when you send me that picture of your hair, that's because you knew, like, you didn't want me to not be a part of your life. Yeah. Because if you really didn't care about, if you really didn't want to be my friend, then it would have been like, oh, well, I'm not gonna send her this. And even if she sees me and my hair is cut short, like, it doesn't matter what she thinks. Like, I don't care. You're very quick to quit on people and leave and just completely cut off all feelings when it comes to anybody if she just doesn't care. But that itself was like that. But I knew that we still had to talk and stuff, so I was just like, oh, okay, that's cute. We left it at that. And then eventually you sent me that message, and I was like, we talked about it or whatever, and then we talked on the phone, but it was surface level, and then we actually fixed our issues.
It was just a lot of catching up while she was still in college. Just a lot of catching up.
Mind you, this was my last semester of college.
Yeah.
So,
and then that too, that was something else I was telling Marcus. Like, I don't, like, she got stuff going on. Like, I don't have no reason to disrupt that. Like, I caused a rift, and now I need to let her get past this phase of life before I just throw something else on top of that. Like, she got too much going on.
Yeah, and I was about to get out of college. I was about to graduate. I was about to come back to Dallas. So we was gonna see each other, cause we have,
and that's what I was thinking with my hair too. I was like, I'm definitely gonna see her.
Yeah, we have mutual friends. Like, yeah, me and my friends in Dallas aren't as close as we used to be because I spent a half a decade in Houston. But regardless, when I come back, I have those friends where, like, you know, you don't have to see them every day, you don't have to talk to them every day, but you know that you're friends, and we're going to see each other. We have a lot of mutual friends. Like, we're going, like, it's going to happen. And so it wasn't that I forced her, or it was a forced relationship, or it was a forced friendship, because if Jasmine don't want to do something, best believe she's not going to do it. So don't think that it was like me, like, you're gonna be my friend now. Like, it wasn't that. It was just like, I know her.
I was about to say, she just knows me, and if she wouldn't have forced me to do it, I just would not have done it, and y'all wouldn't have caught up.
It wouldn't have caught up.
So,
but if she would have never texted me, then I wouldn't have said nothing, because like that was her olive branch. No, I believe that. I believe that if you wouldn't have texted me, because that was your olive branch. Like, if it wasn't for that, it wouldn't have happened. Because, like, we would have did the whole, happy Thanksgiving, because the happy Christmas, Merry Christmas thing. We would have did that. We would have kept doing that. It would have been cool, and then eventually it probably would have just faded off, honestly, on my part. But, you know, you sending that olive branch and sending that long message was like, okay, she does love me. She does care. We just obviously hit a brick wall. And honestly, I don't think that would have happened if it wasn't a long distance friendship. I think if we were still, like, around each other during that, like, time, we probably would have gotten into arguments, talked about it, like, because, you know, me and you, we talk about things. We probably would have gotten into arguments. But I think you said you were having a moment, so it kind of festered within you, and then it just turned into this whole big blow up. And that's what I think. If I would have just stayed in Dallas.
Definitely. Well, just if we would have had this face to face, you would have made me sit down and talk about it. Like, I can see us in that little apartment thing that you had, and I would have said what I had to say, and you're like, you're not going home, Jasmine. We need to talk about this. And even if I would have tried to go home and I lived close to you, you would have come up and we would have talked about it. And it just would have been squashed. It wouldn't have been no 3 or 4 month thing. But that happened, and we both, I guess I learned from it. She said she didn't learn anything.
I learned that, like, because the basis of the text was that you had an issue. You had a reoccurring issue. When she has a reoccurring issue, even though I don't feel like whatever it is that she's, like, going through isn't that deep, even though I don't feel that way, it doesn't mean that it's not deep to her. So, and it's still something to this day that I need to work on, which is, like, taking her seriously when she's actually coming to me with a problem. Because Jasmine never comes to me with a problem, like, ever. But when she does, I don't really know what to do with it, because usually I'm trying to pull problems out of her. So when she lays a problem in front of me, I'm like, okay, are you serious right now? Like, is this a joke? Like, that's how I be feeling. So I need to take your problems more seriously.
From that, we have this thing now where if we have a problem, it don't matter where we are. We could be in the middle of Walmart. We're going to have that argument
moment,
and we're going to have that conversation, and we're going to fix it, and then we can go about the rest of our life.
Yes, and we brush it off, and it's solved because we actually solve it. We don't let things snowball into bigger issues, take an inch, you get a mile type of situation. None of that. Like, we gonna do it right then and there, because that's just what works for us. Maybe, like, for example, Adorable, me and her, like, we just brush it off. Like, we communicate before things happen, and if things happen, we just look at each other like, you know, like, we don't even say nothing. We just look at each other like, you know, I know deep down inside that that's not what you meant, and you just brush it off and you keep going. But, like, me and her, we talk about things. We have to communicate. We have to be, you know, and that's what this was all about, was like
how to maintain
a friendship,
how to be mature in a friendship.
Every friendship is different, like,
right?
Every one of them. And this being, like, one of my first, like, main friendships, learning how to be friends with someone for such a long time, like, it's not easy. Like, we may look like we've been friends for the longest, we may look like we got it, we just key. But anybody that knows us on a daily basis knows all we do is argue. But it's not.
And it's never anything serious. Like, I don't want us to sound like that couple where, you know, they always fighting, blah, blah, blah. But I can't leave him. Like, we're not like that. It's like, girl, I want black. Well, I want white. Okay, we'll get white. No, because you want, like, it's very simple things. Like, we just argue. It's just us. We just argue. Because we're two completely different people.
Yeah, but we have to talk things through.
Right.
And so, I don't know. Our communication is getting better. She's learning not to quit on things, and I'm learning to take things more seriously.
Whatever, bro. What? I don't be quit. I don't know what you're talking about with this quit. I don't quit. I just feel like it takes a lot to get me to my limit, and y'all push me to my limit, and I'm like, I'm done.
No, I'm talking about you don't like to communicate your feelings. And you'd much rather just be like, I don't want to talk about it.
Yeah,
walk away.
Y'all be tripping. Y'all be playing, but whatever. That's not for the people. That's not none of y'all business. But anyway. They be tripping. They don't let me be
they. But I'm talking about me and you. I'm talking about you be wanting to quit on your communication. Because you be getting frustrated.
Well, we are doing better. We are learning to get past that.
Yes.
But
yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks for tuning in, guys. We really appreciate you guys supporting us. We don't know yet if this will be the last video of the season. We'll have little blips and things. We might start like doing maybe a vlog. Right. We might have a vlog because Jasmine's birthday is coming up. And so it's going to be a real cute thing. So we'll probably do a vlog for that one. Maybe a couple things here and there. You know, just make sure you're following us on all of our social media platforms. We're going to start doing TikToks and stuff, little cute stuff. Reels on Instagram. I guess they got reels now. So we'll start doing that as well. And we'll keep up with y'all and let y'all know when our next season is coming out. We might have one more video. It just depends on availability, like how much time she has, because her birthday is coming up very soon, so that weekend is going to be for her, so we might not have the time to do another video, but it just depends. But just keep up with us on all of our social media platforms, and we'll make sure to keep y'all in the loop.
But again, thank y'all, and y'all have a good one.